Hello, everyone. This is the Crimson Cure, welcoming you to the Crimson Tower, a place where we keep a feminine foot on the neck of the gynocracy, feminism, and black male misandry. So go ahead, pull up a chair, stay a while, and listen. Hello. Can you guys hear me? Oh no, I'm not muted. Can you guys hear me? Thank you, Torrance V, for opening it up. Why it's not showing my chat? It's like not showing the chat like at all. That's really weird. Like I cannot see the chat at all. Wow. That is interesting. What's good? Grant said hello. I am filled with joy. Now I'm gonna need that Dracula back up in there. Do I sound funny? Because I think I tried to fix my echo sound. Do I sound okay? Okay. Y'all heard the music and everything though too, right? Because yesterday when I hit the switch, you couldn't hear it. I think I fixed the echo thing. I think. I was watching some YouTube videos and hopefully I fixed the echo thing. So we're just going to jump dead off into it. I watched Cuties last night. I watched it. It was disgusting on a lot of levels. Unfortunately, it was late at night. I didn't take notes, but I have a very good memory. Plus, it's fresh because I just watched it. So for those of you who are unfamiliar, Cuties is a Netflix movie. It is originally a French film that Netflix picked up and recently added to their library. Now, before Netflix even added it to their library, they were getting a lot of pushback because of the nature of the film. So the film is focused on Ami, or we would say Amy. They spell it Amy. But in the movie, they pronounce it Ami. Hey, Father's Time. They pronounce it Ami. And she's the lead girl character. And Ami is Muslim, traditionally so. Her family is like African, and they are immigrants to France. So this movie takes place and is filmed in France. It's not an American movie. The French name of the film is Mignonnes, like a filet mignon. So I'm assuming that the word mignon is to describe something small and cute. That's just an assumption. I don't know French. So Ami is a little Muslim girl, no more than about 11. Mind you, these are true little girls. These are not older girls that are acting as little girls. These are little girls. And we know little girls when we see them, they got little girl bodies and little girl faces and little girl mannerisms. So her family, which consists of her mother, her father, her little brother, and her older brother. So Ami, they live in this apartment building with, it seems like a lot of other Muslim families live in that building. That's actually common in Muslim communities. We'll all group up in an apartment building or something just to have like an Islamic type of community. So that's actually done in America as well. I lived in one on the west side. I don't know why the sirens have to go off right when I'm talking, but whatever. So that actually was familiar to me. We kind of open up the movie with Ami and her mother at ta'lim. Ta'lim is the Arabic word for teaching. A session like that is a ta'lim wa ta'lum, a teaching and learning session, where the women will gather, usually separate from the men, and there will be a woman who leads the ta'lim to talk about Islamic principles, spread knowledge, and this sort of thing. Over the past 25 years, I've hosted plenty of those and attended even more of them. So that was actually authentic in the Islamic culture. And so we see Ami just going about her little girl business in her Muslim family. One day, coming from one of those teaching sessions, Ami stops and looks into the laundry room of the building and sees a little girl about her age, a little Spanish looking girl, dancing in the laundry room. And it's kind of provocative, the dance that she's doing, but it's not super outrageous, because trust me, the dances get outrageous as the movie goes on. So what we're first introduced to is what we would call a little fast tail little girl, a little fast tail heifer. Okay. So all these little girls that Ami ends up getting mixed up with is little fast tail heifers. Oh, I forgot to tell y'all, I'm spoiling the bejeebus out of this movie because I don't care if anybody wants to see it. It's nothing there. There's no plot twist here. It's really as disgusting as you think it is. So she runs into the girl. They don't know each other. And the girl is like dancing. She's got on like a little crop top and, like little jeans or whatever. She's got little, color in her hair and yada, yada, yada. A little fast tail heifer. So Ami's watching. So the little girl like stops and looks like, why are you looking at me? So Ami just, moves on. So we go from a little girl that was immersed in her family. She, her mother was attentive and active. Her father, I think, was gone. One of the subplots of the movie is that their father is courting and about to marry a second wife in this film, which becomes somewhat important as we continue to watch. Because this is why we don't see the father except for like in a couple of scenes in the movie, like one or two scenes. But we know that they are an intact family. Okay, it's not a broken family. So Ami like watches her little brother and stuff like that. Counting out his little cereal, and she shares a room with him. Although they live in an apartment with probably about 3 or 4 bedrooms, and so one of the other bedrooms is being like remodeled. So it's the mother, the father, Ami, her little brother, her older brother, and like her mother had just had a baby. So there's a little bitty baby. So they make Ami share a room with her little brother, which she was kind of getting too old for that. At 11, she should have the privacy of her own room. I think once kids get like 10 and 11, they shouldn't share rooms if they're mixed gender. They shouldn't share rooms anymore. Because little girls are going to start getting their menses and stuff. And, it's just different. When they're a different gender, you have to eventually separate them into separate sleeping quarters. But anyway, she shared a room, and so she would talk to her little brother at night and stuff like that, and just go about her little girl business and go to school and come back. Now, they are traditionally Muslim, but I didn't see any instance where they were particularly difficult on Ami to do anything Islamic. The most that they wanted her to do was kind of cover her hair a little bit with a little scarf, but they didn't have her on like traditional Muslim clothes. She was allowed to go to school in t-shirt and in jeans and stuff like that. So she saw the little girl that she was looking at in the laundry room at school, and she was hanging out with like 3 or 4 other little girls. And she immediately became intrigued by these little girls uh, dancing and, just kind of making a scene at school. So these are some bad little girls, okay? They are fast as I don't know what. They all are wearing crop tops, leggings, little tight little bodycon skirts and wedges, and it's real, and makeup. So they're really over the top. They're flirting with the boys, and they're trying to take pictures of the boys in the bathroom, and they on social media. They doing the most. And so Ami, being a little Muslim girl, she was unfamiliar with social media. She wasn't allowed to have like a smartphone and stuff like that. So as she becomes more intrigued with these little girls at school, now mind you, her parents just think she's going to school and coming back. They don't find anything amiss about it because she's not like missing time or not coming home. She's coming home. She's leaving and coming at the regular time. So she eventually cuffs her older brother's smartphone. Now, her older brother, like, he about 17, 18. So she steals his smartphone, and she begins to use his smartphone to access social media for herself. So she starts taking pictures with something like Instagram or something, right? So she started taking little pictures, the duck lip, and put little filters on there, right? Nothing super egregious. I wouldn't want my daughter necessarily doing it, but it gets worse, trust me. So now, before I continue to go on, it's important to note that one of the things that was said in the beginning of the film, as the Muslim women were sitting around, is they were stressing the modesty of women. Okay? They were stressing the modesty of women and how women who were modest were closer to God, and women who were immodest were further away. And that for a woman to keep her composure and her femininity as a woman, she needed to have modesty. So Cash App, we not doing those no more. We not doing super chats. Wait. Can y'all can hear me, right? Oh. Anyway. So anyway, that was one of the first things that was said in the movie, talking about the modesty of women. Ironically, they were talking about personal market value, okay, in the beginning, in an Islamic setting and in an Islamic way. They were talking about how women needed to, and women and girls needed to value themselves as treasures, something that Allah loves, something that is special, something that is beautiful, and something that should not be available to everybody, or else you lose your value. Okay. Thank you, Miss Rissa, for the cash out. Yeah, hit the like button. I got 73 people and 42 likes. Okay, y'all want me to play on my phone. I'll play on my phone. I ain't got no problem with that. I ain't got no problem with that. I ain't got no problem with that. I'll play on my phone. Mm-hmm. Y'all want me to play on my phone? Till I get some more likes, I'm playing my phone. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Father's Time. Said thank you. This movie needed a review from a feminine red pill perspective. Thank you, sweetheart. But I'm going to play on my phone till I get some more likes. I'm going to play with my phone. Play with my phone. Say I'm going to play with my phone. I'm going to play with my phone. I'm going to play with my phone. Till I get some more likes. I'm going to play with my phone. Until I get some more likes. Play with my phone. Until I get some more likes. I'm going to play with my phone. Until I get some more likes. I'm going to play with my phone. Until I get some more likes. I guess we got a decent amount. Okay. All right. All right. So, they were stressing that importance in the beginning. So I forgot to tell you that little part. But it's important for the framework of the movie. So now, thank you, Felicia. Thank you for the review. My mind went back to your video on PMV while watching that atrocious movie. Exactly. And see how the personal market value actually, they was ruining that little girl. So anyway, she is getting more and more enthralled. So at first the little girls don't like her, right? They pick with her, they tease her. Because Ami's family is not necessarily well to do. And she doesn't dress like it. Now the other girls aren't necessarily more well to do than Ami, but they dress differently than her. And definitely more provocatively. So the little girl of the little group that lives in the same apartment building as Ami takes a liking to her and convinces the other little girls that Ami is cool and that Ami is allowed to hang out with them. So they start hanging out. And at first, it's kind of innocent. They're hanging out at each other's little house and playing in their room, jumping on the bed, eating candy. It's pretty innocent. You know what I'm saying? Like, they just doing little kid stuff. And it's like, okay, you know what I'm saying? That's not too bad. And then it gets progressively worse. So as they revealed to Ami that they like a little aspiring dance group. Now, mind you, this little dance group is not sponsored by the school or sponsored by any particular organization. It's just them little 4 girls that want to dance, and they want to do little nasty dances. Back in the day when I was young, 3 million years ago in the Cretaceous period, we used to call that they wanted to cheer. Okay, and when we said cheer, we wasn't talking about cheerleaders. We was talking about doing them little nasty little cheers, and you know what I'm saying, call ourselves twerking. Our mama used to call it, you know what I'm saying, shaking your little gristle, because you wasn't thick enough to have no booty and no backbone and nothing like that, so you had a gristle, according to my mama and my grandmama. When you was too little to have a booty, you ain't had no booty, you had a gristle. So anyway, so she becomes more enthralled with these young girls, and she starts trying to dance and stuff like that. So she watches them dance and all of this. So she starts sneaking with the phone that she stole from her older brother. She starts sneaking and watching little nasty music videos, it's like WAP videos, but not the actual WAP video, but like that reggaeton, you know what I'm saying, dance hall videos. And they be with their thongs and little strip videos and all this kind of stuff, where she's trying to learn these little nasty dances, right? So turns out Ami is the best dancer. Ami can dance. So she's practicing in the mirror and stuff like that, when her mama ain't looking and stuff, and she trying to learn these little dances or whatever. So she starts teaching the other little girls the dances. So she starts like kind of being a de facto choreographer, right? So skipping through all of the different little nonsense scenes, we get to a point where Ami becomes almost obsessed with the concept of living this double life that she lives. When she leaves her home, she's dressed like her mother wants her to. But when she gets to school, she has like a little bag that she hides where she changes her clothes and dresses more provocatively like the other little girls. Now, there's an older girl group that's a dance group that's a little older than them. So they about 10 or 11. So they like in 5th grade. So you would say that the other little dance girls are like 8th graders or something like that. Now, all through the movie, the camera angles are focused on these little girls' breasts, of which they do not have, and their butts. Okay, so many of the camera angles are focused on these young girls' bodies. Okay, these little straight up and down, flat as an ironing board bodies. Okay, one of the girls was a little chubby. She still had baby fat weight. You feel me? This is how young these little girls was. She still had little baby fat weight around her. They did, Tori, and they zoomed in a lot. Yes, LaShawn, like Flashdance. It was kind of like Flashdance with kids. Now, I agree, Tori. It was, but 4 girls instead of 1, and not professional dancing, but street dancing. So she's more and more obsessed with this double life that she's leading. Okay. And she becomes more and more disenchanted about her home life. So one of the things that is working to disenchant her about her family life and her cultural life is the fact that her father is taking on a second wife. Now, Ami was in her mother's room, and I guess she didn't want to be caught in there, so she hid under the bed. Now, Ami's mom is talking to an elder lady, which I think is either her mom or her mother-in-law. Might be her mom-in-law. And so she was talking with her about her husband taking a second wife and how she was feeling about that. And so the older lady was like, you know what I'm saying, just make dua to Allah to make it easy. You know, it's not really nothing that you can do about this. You know what I'm saying? It's happening. It is what it is. And the little bedroom that was getting fixed up was really for his other wife to come and live with them, which was what was making it more difficult for the current wife to kind of deal with it. She was a little bit struggling with it because not only was he getting married to the other woman, but he was moving the woman into their apartment, not even a home. It was an apartment. And wedding gifts were showing up and stuff like that. So the first wife was in her bag a little bit. But she wasn't like making problems with her husband. They never showed her and her husband arguing. They never showed her upset with him or any of those things. They never even show her tear him down or speak badly about him or his decisions. When anybody talked to her about that, she actually would put on a happy face. She would be like, oh, you know what I'm saying, I wish them the best. May Allah, you know what I'm saying, make it easy for them and stuff like that. So she would put on in front of people. She would not, she wasn't running around telling every Muslim sister she ran into what kind of dog husband she had. So she actually didn't do that. Thank you, Nicole Ali, for the cash app. So they didn't actually have her doing that, which was part of the reason why Ami was so disenchanted, because she watched her mother cry on the edge of the bed, like cry and like slap herself and stuff. And then when anybody came around, like immediately after, she would wipe her face and she would speak happily about her husband's new wife. Yeah, Father's time, and it wasn't low key. They came for Islam. They came for it. This is why I bang on the so-called Muslim feminists. See, I smack the gynocracy even when it's got a hijab on. I smack that hijab right off that gynocrat. I don't care nothing about her wearing no hijab. She ain't none of my sister. If she running around here whole hyena in hijab, we smacking that hijab off of her and low-key strangling her with it. You feel what I'm saying? Till she recant. Okay, so anyway. So Ami is like by proxy upset with her father. And thank you, Ronan. Because of the reaction of her mother, which her mother never discusses with her. She never discusses these things with Ami. She doesn't lay these things on her at her children's feet. She didn't know Ami was there to see her cry. Okay, because she was keeping up a good front for her children also. All right. So Ami is upset with her father because of her mother's upsetness. And this is a gynocratic lean. Oftentimes in our community that's ran by a gynocracy, the mothers lay their problems with the dad at the feet of the children and make them mad with their daddy just because she mad with them. Thank you, Shango. They make the kids mad at the daddy because she mad with him. Now, the children don't have anything to do with the interpersonal relationship between the couple, the adult couple. His hat that he wears as a father is different from his hat that he wears as a husband and a lover. That's different because his children don't get to experience him as a husband and a lover. His children only get to experience him as a father and a protector. Okay. So that was a nod to the gynocracy in a very specific way by making the little girl upset with a situation that's not her business. Because him being her father is unaffected by him marrying another woman. So we get to see her disdain for her father when he calls home, her mother's talking to him, Then he asked to speak to the children, and he asked to speak to Ami. And when her mother handed her the phone to talk to her father, she threw the phone down. Total disrespect. Thank you, Miss Katz. It was a total disrespect. So her mother's becoming more upset with her because she's kind of seeing the change going on in Ami's demeanor. They had one key scene where she takes Ami to another one of those Islamic teaching sessions. And if you know anything about Muslims, especially the Somalian Muslims and some of the other African Muslims, they hijabs are really big. They big, huge pieces of material, right? So they had Ami in a room full of Muslim sisters go under her hijab, put some earbuds on, and watch these nasty little videos of dancing. And the juxtaposition was her watching that and with a smile on her face while the camera pans out to see a circle of Muslim women talking about Islam. So there were a lot of, if you watch the movie, there were a lot of visual cues. If you understood what you were looking at, there were a lot of visual cues. By me being Muslim, I understood a lot of the visual cues that other people who might be unfamiliar with Islam or unfamiliar with the inner workings of a Muslim community or culture would miss some of these visual cues. Thank you, Ray. Said thanks for speaking on this turd of a movie. um, so one of the visual cues is Ami sitting at the doorway of one of those sessions as they ended and watching the butts of the women that come out. She's watching to see their shape. And that's significant because Muslim women traditionally dress in a way that you cannot see their shapes in a definite way. Okay? Loosely fitted clothing is the order of the day in Islam. In pretty much whatever culture you come from, if you're Muslim, you're pretty much going to wear some type of loosely fitted, opaque clothing. Okay? And so she is messing up again. I don't really know what to do with it. I thought I had addressed the issue, but I'm not really sure. Is that any better? Is that better, or is it still like echoey or whatever? Okay. So you sure that ain't y'all screen that's glitching? Thank you, one-eyed one, for your cash out. Okay. I'm getting stupid notifications. Anyway, so she's watching for the shape to see if she can discern the shapes of the women that are coming out. So she's watching these women, and some of the women don't have super loose clothes. You know, they have pants on or they have dresses on. And you know, these are African women, so they yammed up. Some of the Muslim sisters was yam-tastic under their clothes. And you could see it. You know what I'm saying? Like a couple of them had some big old yams, you know what I'm saying? In her dress, it was yam-tastic. What's good, Chemical? Um, so which is also authentic. We are women. Dressing modestly does help, but at the same time, if you yam-tastic, it's not a whole lot you gonna do that you gonna be able to do being yam-tastic. You feel what I'm saying? I'm yammed up at the top. It ain't a whole lot I can do to hide that. And I've worn real big hijabs, and all that material do is sit on top of them bad boys like, and yeah, we a hijab. We here. We sitting on top of the twins. If you don't watch it, we'll accent these bad boys. If the wind blow right, if the wind blow at a 36-degree angle from the north, we will accent these. Okay? So, just letting you know. And there are other sisters, we black. And there's been plenty of sisters that I know of that was also yam-tastic. And it didn't matter how loose long her dress was, you was gonna see that. She had on the proper clothes. Long, loose dresses and stuff like that. Long sleeve, a scarf on. She ain't trying to show it, but it's sitting there and, you can't help but look at it. It is what it is. So we still women under the clothes. So she's watching these women and she's looking intently for the shape of them, because she don't got no booty and nothing else. She a little girl and she's shaped like a little girl. But she becomes intrigued, which that in and of itself is not weird. When you're a little girl and you just start hitting puberty, you do become curious of grown women's bodies. You become curious of their bodies. You want to know if you're going to get these and those and that. You want to know if you're going to get that stuff, and what yours are going to look like. And is it going to be cute? You start thinking about that stuff. So they were mixing normal pubescent girl curiosity with this really wild, sort of almost obsessed way that Ami was going about things. So she wants to be the friend. So, little girls have ups and downs. 1 minute they friends, the next minute they ain't talking to each other. Next minute they mad, the next minute they friends again. They was doing that sort of thing. And so as the movie is going on, it's getting closer to her father's wedding day. And he wants his current family to attend his new wedding as well. So he sends them wedding clothes and money and all of this kind of stuff so that they can attend the wedding that he's going to have, right? So the mother's still not super enthused about it, but she keeping it together. She's not doing anything crazy. You can kind of see it's bothering her, but she's not getting crazy about it. She talk a little bit to some of the sisters, but it's real innocent how she's going about things. It's the older lady. So they have a scene where the elder lady that I think is either the mother-in-law or the mother, is talking to Ami. And she was telling Ami that when she was about 12 or 13, she got married back when they was on the continent. And she had got married and they had put her in this beautiful white veil and gown and presented her to her husband. And her wedding was very, for their culture, it was very grandiose and it was very beautiful. And she felt very special on that day. And so she was telling Ami, whenever you decide to get married, whenever your parents decide to marry you off, I'm praying that your day will be beautiful and that you will feel special and it'll be grandiose and it'll be, just this really opulent kind of beautiful thing. So Ami's standing there looking like, I don't want to do that. She doesn't say that, but she's looking like, that don't sound appealing to me at all. So they have one other scene after that where Ami shows up at school. She's, she got her hair, which is her natural hair, and it's really pretty. And she's got on this again, a halter top and like little biker shorts or little legging pants or whatever they were. So the boys are starting to pay attention. Like, ooh, you look cute, this, that, and the third. So she's like looking. So she's still not at the point where she wants to deal with boys. So she never really gets involved with the boys. They run into the older girl group. And so I didn't understand why Ami jumped that older girl, but she ends up jumping her. And so they was fighting and Ami's pants got pulled down during the tussle. So, every time somebody fight, they record it on the phone. So the camera was really focused on her panties, right? So after that little incident, her friends were like kind of upset with her. Thank you, Counselor Murray. Her friends was kind of upset with her. They was like, you know what I'm saying? You kind of embarrassed us a little bit. So after that, I believe it was after that, her older brother realized that she was the one that had stolen his phone. So he was like pressing her for it. Thank you, SPJ. I don't want to say your government. I guess I don't want to say it. I don't know if you care about that. But thank you for the PayPal, Miss Lady Ma'am. It's very appreciated, sweetheart. So her older brother was like, give me my phone. I've been looking for my phone. You know what I'm saying? And then come to find out you got it. You know what I'm saying? Give me my phone. So he so she's like wrestling him for this phone, right? Because this is how she's getting social media. So thank you, Aqua Dragon. So they have this they had two super disturbing scenes, in my opinion, that were really bad. This one that I'm about to tell you was really bad. So she wrestles the phone from her brother and runs in the bathroom and locks the door. So he bamming on the door like, give me my phone, give me my phone. So she doesn't want to give the phone up because this is how she's accessing social media. So as he's banging on the door to get his phone from her, she gets this like little devious look on her face, and then she does something that was really, really, really atrocious. She pulls down her pants and her panties, and she snaps a picture of herself, if you know what I mean, and posts it on social media. Then she hands him his phone. So they skip to the next day. She goes to school. And what I thought was strange in the movie was that they did not pursue that act in a realistic way. The fallout from an 11-year-old girl. Oh, yes, Uncle Buck. Yeah. Oh, how could I forget that part? She tries, he has the phone. She wants the phone back. So he like, I ain't giving you my phone. This is my phone. So what she starts doing is disrobing, like in front of him, like in a seductive kind of way. So he started looking like, what you doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you doing? And so then she starts like unbuttoning her pants, and she's just like looking at him dead in his face, and she's like undoing her shirt, and he pushed her. So he pushed her. He was like, ugh, what are you doing? So he was like disgusted. He was like, you know what I'm saying? Like, stop. And so that's when she started wrestling him for the phone. might have been posting to his social media. I don't know. That was a question of mine too, Felicia, because it didn't seem like she had made an account. It was like she had just gotten on there. So after her brother was thoroughly disgusted at even the prospect and concept that his little 11-year-old sister was like trying to undo her pants in the hallway of the apartment in front of him to entice him to give her his phone back, that's when she started wrestling with him, and she bit him and snatched it and ran into the bathroom. And then she snapped a picture of herself and then gave the phone back. So all of the kids in the school, you know, that the boys started like smacking on her butt and stuff like that. And so she's still wearing these provocative clothes at school. And so everybody, so the kids was like, shoot, you're the slut. You know, you the one got your stuff naked all online, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. It's all over the internet. Now, they didn't pursue that in a realistic way because that's child pornography. Right? It doesn't matter that she posted it herself. And if she used her brother's phone, he would be suspected of having actually taken those pictures of her, which he didn't have anything to do with taking those pictures. So it is sick, counselor. It's very, very sick. So she takes a photo of herself. She goes to school. They don't really go down that rabbit hole, though, of her having posted those pictures on social media. So then they have another scene as the day of the wedding is getting closer. It's like her double life is intensifying around her. And like she becomes more and more like focused on this dance thing. They've entered into some type of little dance contest that's coming up on the same day that her father's having his wedding, right? So it's like the clashing of two worlds are happening for this little girl on the same day. But so like the day before, or like a couple of days before, they have this scene where she's in the musalla area. Okay, a musalla area is just a prayer area of a place. It's not a masjid. You can have a musalla area in your home. Okay. You can have a musalla area in your house. It's just the prayer room. So it was like she was in this prayer room. And it was like she was by herself. It was a weird little scene. And it was almost like an exorcism scene. Where she's standing there and it was like somebody was like throwing water on her. Exactly, Father's time. So she was practicing her newfound SMV to her brothers. Right. So it was like somebody was throwing water on her, almost like an exorcism. Right? Like a baptism. Now, what's interesting about that is in Islam, we don't have a baptism. Okay? We don't have baptisms. Baptism is not how you become Muslim. You become Muslim by believing in and declaring Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. I bear witness that there is nothing worthy of worship besides Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. That is how you become Muslim. We don't have a baptism. What we do have is before prayer, you make wudu, or people call it ablution. But we make wudu. So the scene was a mockery of the wudu and the prayer. Because it's splashing this water on her in a way that is like a Catholic baptism. Because you know how in Catholicism, they take the water and sprinkle you. In Protestantism, like we grew up in like missionary Baptists and stuff, we take a baptism. They dip you and bring you back. In Catholicism, they sprinkle you. In Islam, we don't have a baptism at all. But we do have the washing for prayer. Okay? So in this film, made by a so-called Muslim, I don't know if she called herself, used to be Muslim or whatever, you have a mockery of the wudu and salah, okay? The ablution and prayer process. So it's like this water's being splashed all over her, which is a mockery of the wudu, okay? And then to mock prayer, because if you've ever watched Muslims make salah, we prostrate. Our prayers are not just like this. We don't pray like this. We pray like this. We face the Qibla, which is the direction of Mecca, Mecca Mukarramah in Arabia, okay? So we face Mecca Mukarramah and we make salah after we make wudu. And our salah is a motion. You bow, you stand back up, you go down into a prostration. We call that a sijda. Okay, we go into sijda. Sijda is a position that is reserved only when you are worshiping Allah, only when you are making salah. The sijda cannot be done to any other being for any reason. We cannot prostrate to anyone except Allah. Okay? Prostration is a position of worship, and we cannot do it. So they have her getting wet with this water. And to mock the prayer, she's down on all fours in t-shirt and panties, grinding and humping the floor and twerking and wild. And it was almost a possession. She was dancing in a way where it was like she was possessed. Okay? And I mean, she's humping the floor, she's shaking, she's doing all of these gyrations and motions, completely inappropriate for any girl not considered an adult. And mind you, she's doing this in the Musalla area, the place where they usually hold the Talim. So she's doing this in a place that should be considered a place to keep clean. I don't want to say sanctified, but a place that a Muslim would have respect for, because we come and the places that we pray, we don't have certain things going on in those places. Okay, we don't play music in them, and we don't dance in them, and we don't have pictures and images of people and animals in them. We don't have any of those stuff. We don't have like little statues of angels. We don't believe in that. Muslims don't do that. Especially traditional Muslims, we don't do that. So she's gyrating, she's doing all this really crazy, really graphic things in her panties. Mind you, this is an 11-year-old girl in a t-shirt in her little Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday panties that your mama bought you when you was about 10, 11, and it came in a pack. And they had little pink flowers on them or something. So what this scene was symbolically was her transitioning from the wholesomeness of the way in which a Muslim girl is raised outside of the gynocracy. And the scene acted as a full-on initiation into the gynocracy, where her SMV would be paramount versus the culture that she's being raised in, where her PMV is paramount, and her potential for marriage market value is paramount. So that scene where she's enacting and dancing is a symbolic transition. It was a blasphemy and a mockery of the prayer And in place of prayer, she danced. And she danced like a harlot. They had the little girl dancing like a harlot. Okay. Had the little girl dancing like a harlot. Thank you, Man Friday. And after that, she was fully invested in her lifestyle as a newly initiated gynocrat, a young gynocrat. So on the day of her father's wedding, she's getting ready and stuff like that. But she skips out to go to attend the dance contest. Now, at this particular time, them little girls ain't really friends with her and stuff like that. They kind of stopped talking to her. But she was determined. So she had put on her little outfit and she ran to where the little contest was being held. So she meets up with them. They do the dance routine at the concert. The reaction of the crowd to the intensely sexual dance. These girls got up on that stage, and I mean, they must have grinded on every surface that they could and each other. They was hitting each other's butts. They was twerking in each other's face. They was squatting. They was opening their mouth. They was rubbing on their body. They was I mean, they was doing the most. You understand me? They was doing the most. The most. And the crowd was not cheering. In the movie, the crowd is not cheering. The crowd, at first they cheering, but as the dance routine continues and becomes more sexual, they like, we don't like this dance. These little girls is too young for this dance. And they start murmuring among each other like, we don't like this. This is inappropriate. So they end the little dance. So the girl, Ami, starts crying and she runs home because she recognizes that it was that the crowd did not react the way that she thought that they would because they did not approve. So she runs home. So the elder woman of the home is like getting on Ami and like whooping her, kind of like she's whooping her. She's because she sees her with these little skimpy clothes, and she's like, "Who are you?" And that was actually the second time that had happened. I forgot. Let me go back towards the middle of the movie after her mother starts recognizing this change in Ami, and like she like, you know what I'm saying, like she's like catching her doing little stuff. And the one thing she like is like kind of whooping her a little bit, but not like beating her, but she's like getting on her. And the repeated question that she kept asking her daughter is, who are you? Who are you? Who are you? I don't know you. Who are you? I don't recognize you. Who are you? And from a cinematic point of view, this is a question that Ami has not asked herself. The question is external, coming from an authority, one that she no longer approves of, and that is asking her, who are you? And a little while after, you get the ritual scene where she chooses who she is. And then she goes to the dance contest. Okay. She comes back. And then the older lady is like, who are you? And she's like, get them clothes on and we going to the wedding. So her mother interrupts. And this is pivotal. Her mother interrupts the older woman getting on her, which she rightfully should have been getting on her. And she's like, leave her alone. She like protects her. And she's like, you don't have to go to this wedding if you don't want to. You can stay home if you want to. Thank you, Zeke. Said, war on innocence. The kids always suffer. They do. So in the end, her mother accepts her daughter's thought transformation. And what they're saying with that is that the mother is just as disenchanted as her daughter and will now live vicariously through her daughter with her disenchantment. Because what's significant about that is tied to the other scene where she's getting on Ami. And one of the things she says is that your father is going to blame me for your outcome. He'll blame me, but I'm doing the best that I can with you. You're just unruly. But he's not going to see it that way. He's going to see this as my failure. Juxtaposed against the ending where she hugs Ami in her little halter top and biker shorts, booty shorts, and tells her you don't have to go to the wedding, which is symbolic of you don't have to be this. You don't have to subscribe to the Islamic culture. You don't have to do this. And the unspoken thing was because I don't want to do it. There are a lot of nuances that I did not unpack here. There was a lot of symbolism within this movie. Thank you, Uncle Buck. Lots and lots of symbolism in the movie that I did not touch. Not to say that I won't touch it. Because there are layers. Many times in these movies that have a lot of symbolism, there are a lot of layers to the symbolism. The top layer is just what you see. The sexualization of newly pubescent girls. Very sensual, very sexual a depiction of young girls. That's the first problem and the first layer of the problem. But that's the obvious problem. The subtext problem is the taking of a girl from a culture that would prevent her from such outcomes and introducing her into that culture and then portraying that she will now live a better life as a gynocrat. She has been empowered and liberated away from a culture and a mindset that would raise her personal market value, that would give her marriage market value when she was old enough to get married, that would focus on her belonging market value, which was her value to her family, taking care of her little brother, talking to him, sharing these very tender moments with her baby brother, sharing these tender moments with her mom by putting little gifts on her mother's bed, drawing little pictures and giving them to her and things of that nature. Really innocent things. That was that little girl's belonging market value. And the trouble started at her friendship market value. The friends that she adopted, which was the pathway into the dark side. Thank you, Wiggleworks. In the end, she went back to being a kid. I think she made the right choice then, but not before. See, that's not even how I took that. I didn't even take her as going back to being a kid. That transformation was real. Now, she's a child within that family structure, so she'll continue to be a child. But that ritual she went through was a spiritual transformation for her. Okay. Yeah, Dead set said I had to take it had to take place in France, a European country, and the message I got is try all you want. Your tradition is dead. And when given a choice, you will choose us. Exactly. Exactly. Not to mention, they used a melanated family. They used a family from the continent. These people still spoke their native language, which was Wolof, which adds another layer of significance. So everything that is important to them was stripped in the generation through the girl, not the boy. Because her older brother is older. He had been in the country longer than her. He had assimilated before she did. But the corruption did not come through the boy. It came through the girl. Because we're the vessel. We're the ones that pass culture, not men. Men create culture. We're the ones who pass it. See, it was very important that the destructive force came through the young vessel, the youngest vessel in the house. The two older ones had been too entrenched, so we had to get the young one, the one that was most impressionable. Thank you, Dead Set. So the more she transformed, the more she neglected her little brother whom she cared for in the beginning. Exactly. So her PMV, her personal market value, was perverted, and her belonging market value was next to nothing because she did nothing that she had been doing before that included her within the family structure and that made her valuable to her family. Okay. Her little brother, meanwhile, maintained his innocence the whole time, unaffected by these things, not in an overt way. And see, this points out that the destruction, if there's going to be a catastrophic failure of a culture, that has to come through women, not men. And the men have to be absent. Now, even though in this particular movie, the family structure was together, the parents were not divorced or anything, but the father was physically gone. Okay? Attending and courting and vetting another woman to be his wife. That's an attack on not only the patriarchy, but the concept of polygyny also. See, a lot of stuff I didn't unpack. Okay. See, all through the movie, even though the family structure is intact, the father's physically gone. Had he been there, he would have caught what his daughter was doing. But her mother couldn't catch it because she was too entrenched in her own dismay at gaining a co-wife. She was too wrapped up in her world to actually pay attention to the transformation that Ami was going through. Her father would have caught it. But see, this was also a nod to single motherhood, even though Ami's mother was not a single mom. So the elements were there: the single motherhood, the overwhelmed mom, and the little girl who is disenchanted by a culture that before she was exposed to something new and progressive was just fine where she was. She had no complaints. She wasn't living in an abusive situation. Her parents didn't neglect her, did not love her, didn't. There was no such pathology happening. Okay. So the movie was an assimilation attempt. It was, yes, and it was more than that as well. I see the movie as a slap in the face of the Muslims. And I'm gonna say this and then I'm gonna end it. It was a slap in the face of Islam. Islam is one of the last few bastions of the patriarchy, of a heavily patriarchal system that actually has elements of righteousness in it as well. Even though the way in which a lot of Muslim countries operate isn't really what it should be, but it's enough to have staved off the effects of a gynocentric system replacing it, or feminism replacing it in Muslim homelands. Places like Arabia, places like Palestine, places, other places are so-called more progressive. The UAE and Turkey been wiped out. They wiped out. They helped end the Ottoman Empire. So I ain't been too deaf on Turkey for a very long time. But these other places are quote unquote more progressive. Muslims that move to more secular countries and societies have a tendency to begin to neglect their Islam as the generations go on. It becomes difficult for them to hold on to Islamic principles. It's more difficult for feminism to penetrate Muslim countries, even if those countries are corrupted in other ways. It's more difficult, especially the bed of it. But they do attempt to make their headway. The attack on Islam was because of Islam's stalwart face. But the attack is able to be made at this point in history because the collective of Muslims in the world we not on our deen, not practicing Islam the way we should. We too busy trying to assimilate and be cool with everybody else instead of doing what we supposed to be doing, and everybody else conform to what we doing. And that's why the attack can even be made in the first place. Because they trying to be feminists in Iraq and Iran and Syria, and they trying to be feminists over there. And they got places like Egypt and all that. They got them places. But there are harder to reach places in the Islamic world where feminism just does not have a foothold there. But they trying. It's not for lack of trying. They trying to put the propaganda over there. They trying to, all of that good stuff. All of that good stuff. Thank you, Ruminant. So this movie was produced by demons using people as conduits. There is no other way to hit all the different symbols. There are no coincidences, of course. Of course. Uh, you're right, Charles. They slap his sign because the Muslims submit. Yeah, as a group, the Muslims have submitted to other than Allah, trying to make Islam progressive, trying to prove that Islam itself can conform to today's standard of what fair and right and good and progressive is. When the fact of the matter is, Islam itself stands very opposed to all of it. Islam does not support any gynocratic thinking of any kind. It is not a feminist religion. It is not one that weakens the men and strengthens the women. Islam is a way of life. It's not even a religion, because what I practice is not a religion. Is a way of life that goes along with the nature of men and women. And its laws accompany that nature. It doesn't go against it. Okay. Islam is, if you want to compare it, Islam is extremely red pill. In some cases, it is black. It is not a blue pill lifestyle at all. And it does not conform to whatever the whims of the culture dictate. But the Muslims want to be cool with everybody. Instead of being like, we ain't cool with y'all? Okay. I mean, so what you want to do about it? See, there was a time when you could make that attack on Islam. Could make that attack. Even in our lifetime. Remember Salman Rushdie? Remember what the Muslims said about him? That's in our lifetime. What was that, in the 90s? Now you got this chick coming out, Maimuna, the nerve of her. Now you got this chick coming out. I guess she was culturally raised Muslim or whatever. She can't possibly be identifying with that as an adult making a movie like this. And you got this type of chick making this type of movie, and I ain't seen no Muslims come out and enforce and condemn that. Astaghfirullah. Astaghfirullah. Y'all ain't came out and condemn this atrocity. Something that Islam stands 10 toes against. All of it. The sexualization of children. Making little girls and women be immodest, to say the least. Too many problems with this movie. Exactly, Charles. I remember that. So, I'm going to go on and get out of here. I may revisit to unpack more things. I don't know yet. But hopefully you guys got something out of this today. If you haven't watched it, I'm not going to recommend it. Obviously, I'm not going to recommend it. Because it was trash for a lot of reasons. It's trash. This movie's 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 But what I want you guys to do, since I'm going to get on up out of here, is I want you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Today's episode of the Crimson Cure was brought to you by our sponsor, A-Game. So go into the description below. Click the link for A-Game at agameherbal.com. Get your 10% discount using the code Kendra10. This has been yet another Crimson Cure production. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.